Next slide, Julie. Oh, click it. Oh, there you go.
Oops.
Go back. Good.
Yeah,
We got it.
technical difficulties
All right.
here. Okay, so we just wanted to show everyone where we were, and here we are, here in New York. Everyone's seen this section.
Do you want that arrow in there?
Oh, Julie, can we get that arrow also? I know we're asking for a lot. There we go.
All right, good.
Okay. All right, so since we left for you guys, a couple of things, a lot of concerns we had coming back to the new school year. The school had shift focus to discuss APPR and a Common Core and having staffing on a common curriculum. So some of the things that we had problems with were Mr. Connick had a very small class, so we were concerned as to would we have students that, would we have enough students to partake in the program? Would we have enough students that would be able to make themselves available to us to collect some of the data? So those were some of our concerns. One of the concerns I had was the class. I thought I would be able to teach the environmental class, but unfortunately they put me into another program, so I was not able to run the GLOW program the way I intended to do it when we left Colorado. Instead, I spent most of the time, oh, that's me and my daughter. Instead, I spent most of the time trying to implement the GLOW program into into when we left Colorado, we were discussing how we could get the kids interested into some sort of project-based learning. And one of the things, we have these elderberry bushes outside, and I remember when Mr. Connick, berries, but at the time when school starts, the elderberries are no longer, say, blooming. So that was a concern for us. So we used that as our starter question, like our motivated question, to figure out where did the elderberries go? Is climate change actually affecting it? Feels weird talking to just myself. All right, so we said if plants are if they're fruiting earlier, then what other effects would the climate change have? And if we're living in the Croton watershed, all right, over the summer we had a few key students, part of the Genesis program. If you can see our shirts, the kids made shirts. There
we go.
Here we go.
No problems, only solutions.
Exactly. So we had some kids that were a part of the program, and we were able to implement some of the things that we wanted to set in place for this next school year. Yep.
All right. How's everybody doing? All right, I hope. Okay. When you had the project coming up, I called the local newspaper and said, listen, I could really use a great frontline story. So if you could put something in the newspaper for us, that would help out. So sure enough, on February 28th, the Journal News printed an article, and basically the whole article about climate change, how data, it says, preserves, data from preserves points to long-term climate change. Ulster County is right above us, but the amazing thing is they've got data from the last 117 years. So like I said, I just recently found this out, and if we continue with our studies, which we hope to do, we're going to be tapping into them to see if we can get some good information. As with the scientific method mentioned earlier, we follow that. We want the kids thinking, okay, you know, how are you going to think through this problem? So we start off with the question, you know, how is climate change affecting the water quality of the streams, tributaries of the Croton watershed, which is a drinking water supply for New York City. Let's see. Right now, the Croton watershed itself, for those of you that may not be too familiar with New York, we've got the, there's that arrow. Okay, you've got Hudson River, which is over here on the left side, and then down below over, move this. Okay, down below over here, we've got Long Island Sound. So in between Long Island Sound and the Hudson River, we have our Croton watershed, which supplies probably about 10% of the water for New York City. And Mahopac High School is located in the upper left-hand corner, which is kind of the northwest part. There's Kirk Lake, which is a backup reservoir, and our school is kind of right next to that. Again, second part, gather information, do some research. We checked out what information we had available to us. We had been working with the New York State Department of Environmental Protection, and I talked to our connection there, and it turns out that he had data from 1987 for a river that was close to the one that we were studying, the stream. In fact, our stream is a tributary to the Muscoot, so we wound up you know, getting that information. After we got the information, sat down, kids decided, okay, you know, out of all this information, turbidity, alkalinity, nitrates, phosphates, etc., you know, what is the stuff that we want to study, because we had picked out the two sites that we would be looking at. All right, now, just so you get an idea of where these two sites are, this is Lake Mahopac, beautiful spot. I wish I could afford a house on it. Over here is Baldwin Place Road to Route 6. Then right over here is the second site, which is the Muscoot River. This is where we had 25 years worth of data. Let's see, next guy. All right, a little closer look at the site. Again, this is Mahopac High School, and we're really fortunate because I don't know of too many schools that have a stream which is right in front here. There's a pond, and then the pond, and then the stream flows down here, and then the stream continues down around here. So we actually have an unforested and forested area, which has been great for doing experiments with like the leaf pack, for instance. And I apologize if you guys are asking questions and stuff. I don't have my glasses on. We're good? Okay, Tricia's got it. So if you ask a question, and this is where we also release the trout from our Trout in the Program, Trout in the Classroom program. These are a couple of students doing water quality testing. Now, what we did is we went to NOAA, and luckily they had a site right next to our Carmel. Actually, Mahopac is a hamlet of Carmel, so we're kind of in the same town. And we got the data from 92 to 2012, 20 years. And after we used Excel, we threw the data onto Excel, did a trend line, and found out that there's, over the past 20 years, there's been a 0.7 degree increase in the air temperature. And again, something with the kids, well, is that significant? What does that mean? So what do we want to study? So we threw the question out, air temperatures increased, we determined what parameters of the water could be affected. So water temperature, luckily my kids in chemistry studied about solubility of gases, so they understood that if the water temperature increases, solubility of gas should decrease and the solubility of salts should increase. So we decided to take a look at things like conductivity, chlorides, dissolved oxygen, right? And New York State DEP provided us with the data, and then we graphed it. It was interesting because I told an environmental center we were interested in starting getting some turtles in the front of the school, and when they looked at the site on Globe, on the what is it, the overhead maps, I guess Globe, or no, what is it, Google Earth, that's what it was. And they said turtles probably wouldn't make it there. And about 2 weeks after that, we found a baby snapper in front of the school, and obviously, I guess they're doing well. In fact, Cynthia, the girl that's going to be talking later on, her first project was involved with monitoring the turtle population in the creek to see if there were any, and I'll let her fill you in on that. Okay, so what we did is we looked at the water temperature, and I'm just going to shoot through these graphs real quick. Excel, if you guys, I'm sure most of you know about it, but the new Excel, they've got the great thing where you can add the trend line, so you can actually see, is it going up, going down, and again, so this is from probably from 25 to 20 years worth of data that we put into Excel, and then did a trend line. In this case, you can see that the trend line is kind of going down, so the dissolved oxygen actually decreased. The turbidity has increased. Okay, conductivity, tremendous increase. It went up 200 units, which that is kind of scary. So we thought, okay, what's one of the ions that would be in the water? Chlorides. And since they had chloride data, we saw that that also jumped as well. Okay, so kind of summarize what happened with the DEP data. There was an increase of 0.7 degrees for air temperature. There was a decrease in water temperature, which the kids were thinking that, when they made a guess, they would probably think that the dissolved oxygen would have gone up, but it went down. We discussed turbidity, the fact that there's more cloudiness in the water, so if that's organic, could get broken down by some bacteria. And then the conductivity and chlorides, which later on I guess we'll discuss that a little bit. Okay, so then the next thing is, okay, form your hypothesis. You see what's going on in the Muscoot River. Now, what about Sea Creek, the one that's in front of our school? Same kind of changes, different kind of changes. So we'll take a look at that. All right, so the kids came up with the fact that everything would be the same. They thought, though, that the dissolved oxygen would increase over time. All right, game plan, we're going to get the kids out. This is them out by the pond. They collected data. We needed to make sure that the quality assurance, quality control was going to be good, and that's what GLOBE was perfect for, because it had all of the procedures laid out, and so we knew if we followed that, then year to year our data would be good. Data collected once a week, which didn't happen all the time. We tried our best, and then the data would be put into the GLOBE website. Okay, now here's one of the things that those of you that are looking at this graph, you can see that we had a bunch of Sea Creek data from 2001 to 2004, and I was just talking to one of the old students of mine who wants to be a chemistry teacher, and he came back and he said, Mr. Connick, I know we've got this data, but for some reason we can't locate it right now, so we're trying to get a hold of that. But the kids graphed it anyway, and obviously those of you who know graphs, this is not the best way to do that, but we set it up. Dissolved oxygen, again, you see the large hole in between here, and we'll just get to the end because I know time is probably of the essence right now. All right, so what the kids picked up on for 9-year period instead of the 25 is that average temperature change would be the same. They had a decrease in 8.2 degrees Celsius, which seemed like a lot, and we discussed it, but the fact that data was missing from those years really affected, the trend lines of the data. So the fact that the kids got a chance to at least graph the data on Excel, and then we kind of discussed good graphs versus bad graphs. All right, and then they, put everything on a table for us. And, again, this allowed us to discuss, what things we need to do, continuous stuff, want to change it, analyze the results, show that the same changes as of now were the same. Here's Sea Creek over on the left side. Okay, this is down at the end of it. And then here is Tricia and some teachers over at the Muscoot River. All right, now, one of the things we did notice, conclusion, is that the water quality was being affected. And after we did a site search, we saw that there was definitely a problem. Excuse me. This is a storm drain, and this is the road. Oh, sorry, got to move this one. This is a storm drain opening right here, and then this is the road right across from the high school. And then there's a road that kind of goes up the hill, and you can see that what's happened is all of the silt and the sediment and the sand from those roads winds up just piling down into Sea Creek, which is what the kids are studying. So we obviously had some issues that had to be dealt with. This water in front of Sea Creek, I asked the kids, I said, what do you think? And they said, that's nasty. But it becomes drinking water. It eventually flows into a reservoir. So, we discussed that we need to try and do something about that. Okay, and then, where do we go from here? I don't know. Tricia, is this me still, or is that? Okay. I guess sorry if I'm talking fast, but I know time's kind of limited, so I want to save a little time for Cynthia. All right, so one of the things that we did is I collected data for 15 years, and it drove me nuts because every year, it was no surprise, we found out that the water quality in front of Mahopac High School basically stunk. It was poor, and it was driving me nuts that I didn't want to keep doing that for the next 10 years. So, but basically, it's made out of recycled plastic, and you can put plants on the top. And it actually just got accepted as a BMP, a best management practice, down in North Carolina. So, the science is out there that this stuff does work. So we decided we were going to put some of these in the pond to see if it'll improve the water quality. All right, so one of the things, and all of this is something that's part of what's called the Genesis Project. Long story short, it's been going on for about 5-6 years. I've written, like I said, a few grants, and we've gotten about $350,000 worth of in-kind service and grant money. And one of the things we did is out in front, we're creating an outdoor classroom. Okay, this part here was an Eagle Scout project where, that's a great source. If you guys are looking to do something, the Scouts are always looking for some kind of project to get their Eagle Scout award. So what one Scout did is he checked out on how to make stands, and what this describes is the tree that's in front of it. Here it's a black walnut, and then he's got a description, scientific name, a little story, and what it's about. And then I take my kids out with the environmental research group, and then they, they draw pictures, they read about it, they write some stuff down. Other things. I believe in cheap labor, so I've got a whole bunch of high school kids I work with. And what we did is we worked with a local landscaping company. And they were really great about helping out. They gave us a discount on plants. And the shoreline basically was just mowed grass, okay, all up here. This was all just mowed grass up here. So what we decided to do is expand the riparian buffer. And as you'll see in the next slide, it's been amazing. Like I said, if you take a look, all of, oops, sorry, I guess I lost my pointer. All of this over here was just mowed grass, and same on the other side. It was mowed grass all the way down to the stream. And after, a few years of planting, we got some box elders up here. When these kids planted these trees, they were probably about where the arrow is right now. And now they're obviously doing very well. They're happy. They're healthy. It's got some jewelweed up in the front. That's always a great topic to talk about with the touch-me-nots and, exploding seeds and how it gets rid of poison ivy or prevents poison ivy. Other stuff. We wanted to make sure that all of our kids, and so I apologize. This should probably say disabled accessible walkway. But one of the things we did is in front, this now people with wheelchairs can wheel on down, go over to the ramp, and this part right here actually pulls up. So person in the wheelchair can take a meter or a Lamont water quality and stick it down into the stream, pull the water up, and we're good to go. This is actually a compass that we had put in, and over here, all you globe people, you should know what that is, so I'm not even going to go and tell you. And then our floating islands, okay, Cynthia? All right, yeah, you're probably tired of listening to me, so we're going to let Cynthia, she was part of this whole, hey, Cynthia Bensberg.
Hi, my name's Cynthia Bensberg.
What, senior, junior?
I'm a senior at Mahopac High School, and I worked over the summer with Mr. Connick and Ms. Johnson on the Genesis project. And my partner and I, for our portion, we picked out the plants that would be put on these floating islands. And we also did plant identification around the creek.
Not the 3 different islands, but each one?
So since there were 3 different islands, we decided that each 3 would serve a different purpose. The first one was its goal was to take, the first one, we tried to find plants that took up a lot of nitrogen and phosphorus from the water, because then the plants would use it to grow and it'd be out of the water system. The second one that we used was for aesthetic purposes, so we found flowering plants, and we tried to pick out blue and yellow plants because that's our school's colors. And for the third floating island, we tried to pick out plants that can be used for economic purposes. So we were looking into growing like pumpkins and tomatoes and stuff, but we decided to grow like rosemary and herbs for now. So yeah, so you can see that from this floating island that you can help clean the environment and have like an economic goal, and it's not just, they're not just two different things, because people don't think that you can help the environment and make a profit.
Okay.
Okay. Should I go to the next one?
Go to the next slide, see what we get there.
Also, last year I was in Mr. Connick's ecological research class, and you also had a partner. I had a different partner, and you had a goal that had to do with the environment, and you just researched it. It could be anything that you wanted, whatever you were interested in. And this is my friend Carly, and she made pamphlets about like fertilizer runoff, and she handed these out to people in the neighborhood in front of the creek and around Mapac High School. And she talked to people and how like what you can do can affect people elsewhere. Next one.
Click the next
I don't know about this one.
Okay, sorry, and I see you got a couple of questions up there, and if Julie allows us a little more time, I'll see if Cynthia can help you answer that. If not, we definitely need to save time for the next person. What happened here is you saw that big pile of stuff in front of coming out of the storm drain. So part of the grant, this is something called a CDS unit. Costs about $30,000, but what happens now is what the water will do is it will come in here, drop down in here, and it's got a grate that'll take out a lot more stuff, and it's designed by engineers. Basically, it's an upgraded storm drain. So it'll take out floatables, more nutrients, sand, silt, and all, and we've been trying to monitor that to see what kind of effect it's having, but it's definitely taken out more of the silt and sediment that has been getting into the creek. Just to let you know, the town has to vac that out, so it's important. These are a couple of town guys that are helping out with the vac truck that vacs out the
pipe while you're
okay. There you go. Sounds good. All right. See, next thing, trout in the classroom. I'm not sure how many of you guys have a trout in the classroom program that you run, but we do every year as the kids grow the trout. In fact, they did such a great job that last year our students were invited down to Brooklyn, and it's more ownership now that their little fish that they took care of all year is now swimming in the water. So if somebody's dumping something into the water, they'd be more likely to call somebody and let them know that there's a problem, that needs to be taken care of. The trout actually are here, and you can see they're not very big, and this is one of our teachers' students who was a great help to all of us. Let's see, a trout in the classroom. All right, so if you're following this, what happens is our stream floats into the Muscoot River, which is a trout stream, and then that flows into the reservoirs, which then float into the Hudson River. So that's what this is. This is the Hudson River right here. We do something called Snapshot Day or Day in the Life, and we bring all the students down to the Hudson, and they do, in this case, they're netting fish, and we're doing biological monitoring. Over here, there's the physical monitoring group, and what you can see closest to us is the chemical monitoring group. And then we put that onto a website, and then each year we can, analyze it to see how our site's doing, getting better, getting worse, climate affecting that. Whoa, what's going on? Oh, sorry, technical difficulty. Back. All right, there we go. All right, also out in front, I'm trying to get the kids to make a connection between what they do locally affects things in general. So we've gotten to the Hudson River now. The next trick is to get across the state. So the state bird is a bluebird, So we're working, and those of you that are ornithologists will realize that that's not a bluebird in there, but we're working on it. We got some chickadees and I think some sparrows to nest last year, and we're hoping that maybe we can get some bluebirds this year to help improve our state bird population. And then to go from the state to across the United States, even Mexico, we've got kids that are growing plants for monarchs and the painted ladies, and we're going to try and put a butterfly garden, because I know one of the big problems is habitat destruction. So what we're trying to do is get some milkweed plants, for instance, for the monarchs. So they're going to grow the milkweed, and then we're going to get some caterpillars, and they'll grow some monarchs, and hopefully they can start to track the migration patterns and to see how they're doing. We also have a website which we are still working on. I apologize, but they have the projects that the kids have are listed over here, and unfortunately I didn't know, it's kind of hard to find. I know there's a web address up there, but I mean, if you're interested, you can email me or something, and I'll try and shoot you the email address. But we also produced a video, and we're going to show that on the local cable station. Okay, Ohio, yeah, that's right. Michelle, Sarah, what's going on? I see you're on. Yeah, we're working with them, so I think this is you taking over now?
Going.
Oh, keep going? Okay. Yeah. Julie, you just, let me know when it's time to stop, and I'll... All right, next thing, invasive species. What we had here was we had a bunch of Phragmites that was taking up this whole section here. So we got in touch with the Watershed Agricultural Council, and the kids put in native plants. And so these native plants replace the invasives. In fact, you can see some Phragmites still left over here. And what we do is we have labels on each of the plants, things like red osier dogwood, northern bayberry, and each year they monitor these plants, and Brendan keeps track at the Watershed Council. Whoa, okay, thank you. And then, oh, is that Chris? Hey, what's going on, Chris? All right, and then let's see. So that's a project that's ongoing with the kids. I don't know if it gets warm enough. Who knows? Future invasive species. Leaf pack experiment. Some of you did tell us that you are involved with this, which it's a great thing. You go out, you get a cinder block, you tie a leaf pack to it, and it's a great way to introduce controlled experiments and control versus experimental groups. Let's see what else. Oh, all right, I'll just keep going because, like I said, I think I'm short on time. Genesis project I mentioned earlier. Basically, we wound up with about $350,000 in grants in kind service. We also have a DVD that we're producing. Again, we got some cheap labor going on here. We needed to polyurethane the decks, and you can see that one of the effects of all that silt and sediment is the buildup here, which we've worked on. We actually, the classroom, we created 4 different ecosystems in front. The pond ecosystem, and then there's a meadow ecosystem, then there's a stream ecosystem, and this is what would be the marsh ecosystem. We put in cattails and wetland plants down here. So it's pretty amazing. We're pretty blessed to have all the stuff that we've got right here. All right, there she is. Hey, Michelle, what's going on, girl? All right, and what we did is we finally Skyped. It took us a while, but we got the kids from our group, and luckily we did what we told. We got the Maypack girls, we got the Ohio boys, and the next thing you know, we got a good group working together here. Yeah, it's great because Michelle and Sarah's group has a stream. They sent us pictures. The kids were back and forth, and 2 of their streams match very close to the streams that we're studying here. So it'd be interesting to see, are the same effects happening in Ohio that are happening in New York. So we look forward to working with them. Can't forget Globe, is that you?
Yeah.
All right.
So as you guys could see, absolutely, we do so much here. One of the things is that we are fortunate to have a district that allow us to have many elective classes, and we're able to do a lot of these programs with them. What I focused on this year, I don't have an elective class that I could partake in all the activities. So to make the connection as to how you can do this in the classroom, I've been implementing the GLOW program throughout the curriculum. So when in the early part of the year when we were learning how to create the scientific method, once again, I'm working with 9th graders. So I saw this as an opportunity for me to train the 9th graders on the GLOW basic so that once their schedule open up in the future to have electives, that going into Mr. Connick's class or going to one of the other environmental class, they'll already come in with a background as to how to do the tests and so forth. So I've been implementing it throughout the year in our data collection, interpreting data. So I'll take the globe information presented in class as I'm teaching the curriculum. The macroinvertebrates, use that to teach diversity. So I take every unit, that's how I'm able to work it. I don't have as much time as, or open time as, say, Mr. Connick's class, but I try to fit it in. When we get into, we're going into our ecology unit towards the end of the year, and during that time, I expect to come back to the elderberry question, and they'll have more of a project-based research to do at that time of the year. But right now, I'm still teaching them protocols through what they, through the curriculum in preparation for their state exam. So yes, it seems like a lot, but we are definitely fortunate here to have different classes that we're able to execute all of this. And our colleagues, we also work together. Someone was mentioning, you don't have to read all of this, the Common Core. Part of developing the curriculum is to include the kids, get the students to write more. So I've been doing a lot of journaling, and they have their lab book, and I encourage them to write and to develop thoughts just based on a question, to just have them, give them free range, and to think of what are possible solutions, or how would you go about solving this? And from there, we've been creating the experiments. So there we go.
right.
Quote it one more
All
time.
set, back to me.
Yes.
All right, one of the things I believe in living my faith, and I love looking up the old like Christian scientists and stuff that did a lot to help science. Louis Pasteur, one of the quotes he has from one of the books: "The more I study nature, the more I stand amazed at the work of the Creator." And then George Washington Carver, 300 commercial projects from peanuts. I love to think of nature as unlimited broadcasting system through which God speaks to us every hour, if we'll only tune in. And then it is service to others. This is the most important part that measures success. You guys see how much we do here. I'm telling you right now, I could not do it if I did not have divine intervention. I would have given this up a long time ago, but again, we just keep plugging away, and every time I need something, I get someone like Tricia or Cynthia to come along, and it's been phenomenal. So with that, I just want to let you know that we did have Julie here, and there she is right there, okay, in Mahopac, New York. We had Chris visit us this summer. This is Cynthia right here, and there's Miss Johnson over here. And then this is the plants that everybody is destroying right here. That's part of that buffer zone. But yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well. We loved working with you. Hopefully Julie will write another grant to get us back out there. That would be great. But I don't know. Yeah, yeah, Hawaii would be nice, Julie. All right, I guess, what do we do from here? Oh, well, wait, Uncle Bill has a question. Go ahead.
Okay.
Son.
Well, we put the plants in pretty late into the summer, so they.
The question Uncle Bill had.
He asked, how did the nitrogen eating